Coming up on MilCyberSync, bolstering cybersecurity's workforce on the federal level is at the top of the Capitol's agenda these days.
Also ahead, bigger companies mean bigger problems. Looking ahead to Y2Q. So get ready to get in sync with MilCyberSync.
You're watching the MilCyberSync Podcast with Nick Thomas and Layla Guland.
Hello and welcome to the MilCyberSync Podcast, reporting on the latest events happening in cyber news. I'm Layla Guland with your host, Nick Thomas. Hey there, Nick.
Hey, Layla, how are you doing?
Doing great. Missed you.
Oh, yes, had a great time on a much-needed vacation. Went to Hawaii to get some sun and sand and surf.
Oh, sounds like bliss. Lucky you.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Well, just a reminder, if you're resting on the beach, driving, or doing whatever you're doing, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, click on that notification bell for our latest posts.
All right, sounds great. Let's get started. Cyber agendas are at the top of the White House's priority list these days. The Biden administration has requested to strengthen cyber defenses amid the Ukraine crisis. Additionally, an overall heightened threat environment underscores the growing concern over the impact a cyber incident would have on U.S. networks and critical infrastructure. This year's $1.5 trillion package spending includes an unprecedented budget increase for the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Tightened cyber incident reporting requirements for sectors like transportation and energy have also been required. Layla?
Well, the conflict overseas has given rise to a complex landscape of citizen cyber hacktivists, vigilantes, and criminal groups taking advantage of the crisis to steal money and working as potential proxies for state actors. That means the Biden administration would like to see more information sharing before, during, and after attacks. What this means for state and local governments is to build cyber protocols now as the infrastructure upgrades are being planned and implemented, than trying to chase down vulnerabilities as they're being exploited. Nick.
Despite unprecedented cyber spending, U.S. lawmakers are pushing for more money to support the Pentagon's joint all-domain command and control endeavor. They would also like to see the creation of a related headquarters in the Indo-Pacific, as well as for critical technology, including microelectronics and hypersonics. The price tag, you ask? $847 billion, plus an additional $245 million for JADC2. The Department of Defense vision for unrestrained communications and rapid data sharing across land, air, sea, space, and cyber. The central hub for JADC2 would be due by October 2024. The JADC2 cross-functional team would remain under the purview of the Joint Chief of Staff's J6 Director for Command and Control, Communications, Computers, and Cyber. The bill is now headed to the Senate floor. Layla?
The U.S. Air Force has a new leader in their information warfare branch. Major General Kevin Kennedy was approved by voice vote to head up the 16th Air Force, or Air Force Cyber, and received his third star last month. The 16th Air Force was created in late 2019 and is an amalgam of cyber, electronic warfare, intelligence, and weather disciplines. Officials at the time of its creation said the force would better position the Air Force for a new age of warfare, one that increasingly relies on influence campaigns and skirmishes below the threshold of armed, bloody conflict. Senators this year also confirmed a new head for Army Cyber Command, as well as a new chief of Navy Fleet Cyber Command. Nick.
The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a new cybersecurity bill named the Industrial Control Systems Cybersecurity Training Act. The goal of the legislation is to help strengthen the U.S.'s cybersecurity protections in light of increased Russian cyber threats. This would amend the Homeland Security Act of 2002 to authorize CISA to establish a cybersecurity training initiative focusing on industrial control systems. The bill aims to provide the IT workforce with free ICS security training. This includes virtual and in-person training and courses that would be available at different skill levels to help participants develop and strengthen their skills. If the bill becomes law, the House and Senate will receive yearly reports describing the courses and participants. The reports will also include information on the plans to expand access to the training, as well as recommendations for strengthening the state of ICS education and training.
Shortage in cyber professionals across the country has CISA hunting for an official to ensure its recruitment efforts reflect its operational priorities. Time is of the essence as the country works to bolster its defenses in a heightened cyber warfare atmosphere. A committee is set to vote on draft recommendations and present them to CISA Director Jen Easterly during their quarterly meeting. Advisors recommend CISA prioritize workforce development for cybersecurity. The estimated shortage of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. has doubled from 300,000 to 600,000 in recent years, with 39,000 of those vacancies plaguing the public sector. Other draft recommendations include developing a more systematic approach by collecting and analyzing data on candidates to create benchmarks and monitor progress, and setting a goal of 90 days from offer to onboarding for cybersecurity candidates. Nick?
Despite this, a disturbing trend shows the once venture capital darling cybersecurity startup is seeing layoffs in record numbers. Nearly 13,000 tech workers lost their jobs in June alone, compared to about 2,500 this time last year. Like everything else, cybersecurity has proven to not be immune to the current economic climate. Virginia-based IronNet announced plans to let go of 55 workers, or 17% of its workforce, less than a year after filing to go public. IronNet's stock price is down by almost half. These layoffs also appear to be part of a spate of reductions impacting late-stage startups as they struggle to demonstrate a path to profitability. Funding for cybersecurity startups hit nearly $6 billion in the first quarter of this year, which is up almost 50% from the first quarter of 2021. But data from Crunchbase shows that $6 billion in funding marks a steep decline from the $7.8 billion invested in the fourth quarter of 2021. It remains to be seen what impact, if any, the current economic storm will have on VC investments in the sector.
Meanwhile, across the pond, cyber professionals are getting burned out. Leaders say a mass resignation is anticipated due to high levels of stress and lack of preparation and training to handle current workloads. Many professionals do not possess the right skills and qualifications required to keep IT systems safe from security threats. This is compounded by security operations centers now requiring over 40 different tools to ensure cloud and other system security around the clock supervision, as well as expert configuration. The prevalence of remote and hybrid workers adds another dimension to the cybersecurity skills crisis. Experts say 28% of cyber leaders report that they do not believe they have the right skills to secure a remote working environment, something that needs to be addressed urgently if companies hope to evolve the workplace beyond the office. Well, before we go to break, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, click on that notification bell for our latest posts related to everything military, cyber, and cybersecurity.
And when we come back, development of a military Iron Man suit becoming a reality after the break.
Today's network and security monitoring solutions are vulnerable to overload situations that lead to decreased visibility and undetected intrusions. Monitoring applications require hardware to keep up with real-time traffic analysis, making it complex and costly. Your security monitoring solutions may be unable to keep up during cyber attacks or traffic spikes, making intrusion more likely. A new approach is needed to increase network protection and visibility. Axellio simplifies and streamlines your network monitoring for critical security, network, and application analysis. Learn more at axellio.com.
The U.S. Marine Corps is working to combat threats posed by propaganda, inaccurate information, and digital influence campaigns waged by world powers like China and Russia. Leadership is now emphasizing media literacy among the ranks and underlining the value of verifiable information in day-to-day operations and planning. The Corps recently publicized its frameworks for information and its warfare applications, known as Marine Corps Doctrinal Publication 8, or MCDP 8. The document contains vignettes from Crimea in 2014 to Midway in 1942 and highlights how torrents of information can be deciphered, filtered, and effectively used. The update arrives at a time when international players are relying on digital subterfuge, disinformation, and skirmishes below the threshold of armed conflict to effect change. Nick.
Things like personal mobile phones and iPads may soon be used by National Guardsmen for official functions during domestic deployments. This in an effort to help fill a resources gap and reduce mobilization time. National Guard CIO Kenneth McNeil says an initiative called Bring Your Own Approved Device would allow guardsmen to use personal mobile equipment to perform the same functions in the field that they would otherwise carry out at a desktop in their offices. The initiative is part of a collaboration with the Department of the Army and the Pentagon's Cybersecurity Office. The pilot program consists of a year-long trial with the largest sample size to date. After this trial, if deemed successful, the initiative will be enacted. Work began on the initiative before the pandemic hit and motivated a transition to remote work. The realities of the situation forced the Guard to accelerate the progress.
One of the U.S. Army's top robotics experts is pushing the service to develop a warrior suit, a long-dreamed-of exoskeleton that could help boost soldiers' physical characteristics. Military leaders have tried for nearly a decade to build an exoskeleton to lighten the load for dismounted infantrymen. The suit would include a range of technologies that would minimize traumatic brain injury, reduce electromagnetic and acoustic signature, and protect against advanced rifle rounds. Officials say the first steps toward launching such a program could come as soon as next year. Nick.
As scientists get closer to developing a quantum computer, experts say mega data breaches will become frequent. In fact, this looming threat has led to a countdown that's being called Years to Quantum, or Y2Q. Since the 1970s, the RSA crypto system, which uses very large prime numbers to create public keys that serve as the basis of the security protocol for data communicated between internet applications, has proven to be relatively effective. But Peter Shore of Bell Labs has shown that a quantum algorithm could crack the RSA crypto system. It has therefore been possible to develop bigger public keys faster than computers have speeded up. Layla?
Yeah, machines that can run such an algorithm haven't been developed yet. Post-quantum cryptography will likely be the most feasible option for businesses. It will require smaller changes in the computing infrastructure while replacing existing encryption algorithms. However, the transition will be difficult for business, which will have to learn to navigate a mixed protocol landscape. The challenge will be accentuated by the fact that the transition will take time and require frequent software upgrades.
Hey, thanks, Layla. Hey, so if you're in the car listening, be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel. Find us at Military Cyber Professionals Association or MilCyber.org for all our content related to all things military cyber and cybersecurity. Be sure to like and subscribe and click on that notification bell for our latest posts.
Well, that's going to do it for us. On behalf of Nick and myself, thank you so much for watching and listening. You're now in sync with MilCyberSync. We'll see you again next time.
This has been the MilCyberSync Podcast, brought to you by the Military Cyber Professionals Association. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, click on the notification bell for our latest posts.